Okay, so we recently found out that our core demographic is actually teenage boys. So what we have on our list so far is they enjoy dinosaurs, superheroes, and dragons. Can anyone think of something else that teenage boys enjoy? I have an idea. Huh? Weapons. Perfect. That's a great one. Oh no, it's Konami of America with their sensor belt. Oh shit. Of course. In today's current Yu-Gi-Oh!, decks have one speed, and that speed is fast. One major shift in the game's focus has been that of what a boss monster truly is. What was once a very strong, 2 tribute requiring behemoth with decent effects is now outclassed by the plethora of different extra deck summoning mechanics introduced throughout the years. As opposed to having to not only draw a very strong, very specific monster, and also have conditions met to summon it, with the advent of Synchro, Xyz, Links, and even the recursion of pendulums, the extra deck has become a much more consistent, reliable, and useful tool. Due to this ease of use for the extra deck, many decks nowadays run main deck monsters whose sole purpose is to be used as material for an extra deck summon, of which are useless if used on their own. What does this have to do with the artifact engine, you say? Well, with strong boards being facilitated by the use of special summoning from the extra deck, comes the possibility for decks to be too overly reliant on the mechanic as a whole. What happens when a deck is locked out of special summoning from the extra deck for an entire turn? Some decks simply can't handle this restriction, resulting in strategies, friendships, and win streaks all being ruined by a simple engine. I'm JC Theater Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you're a stun player, then do I have a treat for you. The artifact engine as it is today is a lot more consistent than it was years ago, thanks to Trap Trick. Being a pricey little 3-of in the engine, Trap Trick allows you to banish one normal trap from your deck except another copy of Trap Trick. Then you can set a copy of that banished card directly from your deck. Though Trap Trick has the drawback of restricting you to only being able to activate one more trap card that turn, the one you set with its effect can be activated the turn you set it. So with this engine, that's all you could ask for. Though this card isn't necessarily mandatory, it adds so much consistency by making the 3 copies of your Playmaker into 6, that if you aren't playing this with the engine, it may not really be worth running the engine in the first place. The normal trap you must banish and then set another copy of with Trap Trick is none other than Artifact SANCTUM. This trap has a simple yet powerful utility in which, when activated, you can special summon one artifact monster from your deck. The drawback of this card, aside from being a trap card, is that you cannot conduct your battle phase in the same turn it's activated. This doesn't matter though, since you'll be using it on your opponent's turn. It has another effect in which you pop a card on the field if it's destroyed by an opponent's card effect, but that doesn't really come up much when Sanctum is used as an engine. This is a definite 3-of, for this brings out the whole reason this engine is played. The final piece of this artifact puzzle is the only monster we play in the engine. Artifact Scythe is a level 5 light fairy with 2200 attack and 900 defense. This bad boy has the same effect shared by all artifact monsters, where it can be set on the field as a spell card in one of your spell and trap zones. If it's destroyed while on the field that way, you can special summon him. The beauty, though, comes with his unique effect, however. When special summoned on your opponent's turn, which through this engine will be by SANCTUM, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of that turn. This lockout of the extra deck can and will shut down certain strategies, especially since most meta decks rely heavily on the extra deck to bring out their best monsters. You only need one or two of this guy for the engine, depending on how much space you have in the deck. Hey guys, so I'm actually recording this while I'm editing this video. I completely forgot when going through the entire process of script writing, saving all the picture assets, and even recording my lines for this video about Artifact Moral Tech. Now, Artifact Moral Tech has the same activation requirement as Scythe, where when it's special summoned during your opponent's turn, his effect is you can pop one card on the field. That is an option to run in this engine. I forgot about it because honestly in 2019, when there were so many other cards that you have to fit into already very tight decks, the engine in its bare bones form is what this video portrays. I just want to give a special shout out to Moral Tech because it is a good option to run, of course, as I always say, if you have the deck space for it. Thank you. When thinking of which decks would utilize this engine the best, my mind goes to decks such as Altergeist or Paleozoics, both being able to fully utilize the copies of Trap Trick ran in this engine for other aspects of their strategies. However, using the same logic, it can be said that any deck playing a decent amount of normal traps outside of this engine could potentially use this strategy as well. Ultimately, since the engine is 7 to 8 cards in total, space is also a key factor when determining if it'll work in any particular deck you have in mind. Since this engine stops extra decks dead in their tracks, it is a good counter for a lot of strategies, but not all of them. As is the usual case with counters with niche applications, this engine is an excellent option to be placed in your side deck. Once you find out in game 1 that your opponent is heavily reliant on the extra deck, you can side this in and reap the rewards of being prepared. This engine isn't for everyone, nor is it for every deck. It takes up almost a fourth of your usually 40 card deck, and all to stop your opponent from special summoning from the extra deck for a single turn. Though this loss of momentum may often change the tides of victory towards your favor, strong decks piloted by strong duelists will be able to get through that turn and go on to beat you down. I give this engine a 4 out of 5 stars. With traps being used less and less in competitive decks due to their inherently slow nature, the Artifact engine shines bright and says, hey, traps are still fun to use. Run this if the guy at Locals is running a Code Talker deck, or if you want to destroy your friend's Entity deck now that they finally have all the pieces in the TCG. I'm JC Theater Yu-Gi-Oh! And this has been Engine Evaluation Artifacts.